Hey gang, do you remember when I reviewed Guess and Guess 2? Yeah, yuck. I hated that review because of how old it is. I sounded god awful, and the video was entirely unscripted, so I was just talking out of my ass. After watching my review, I decided that it was a good opportunity to remake it, which means watching this movie again. If you are new to this channel, you'd probably be wondering, what the heck is Guess? Well, Guess is an animated Roblox film created by Rocky Hardy years ago. He is, or was, a Roblox animator before quitting after the creators of Moon Animator released Moon Animator 2, which caused Rocky to cancel his sequel to Guess 2. Yes, this movie was going to have a sequel, and by the looks of the teaser, it would have been more chaotic and nonsensical, like the previous film. But I'll get to that in a moment. That sequel would have been called Guess 3.
How original.
Oh, and before I begin, I should mention that I'll only be covering the full movie version of Guess rather than Guess 1 and 2. It's just like my Guess 666 review, I'm gonna be doing the same format I did for that review because, for one, Guess seems to have heavily borrowed a lot of things from two of Matt's films. And for two, this movie goes for like almost 42 minutes long. And I also don't feel like breaking this review down into parts. With that being said, let's begin with the plot. Okay, I lied. We are not starting the review yet because I want to be nice and correct some things. So, in my old review, I complained about how this scene did not have dialogue at all. It turns out that in the full movie version of Guess, there was dialogue in that scene.
How about you shut your mouth? Sorry, ma'am, we all make mistakes. Like you being born.
But, however, there is still no dialogue for this scene, and whatever reason, I'm assuming it's because of YouTube's crappy copyright music ID thing, there is no audio for the scene where the grey-skinned Guess and James both get brutally roasted by these random Guess prisoners.
Go rot in hell, both of you. I mean, your father is there and is waiting for you. Don't worry, you will get there quick.
Damn! I think that's all I covered. Now, let's begin with the review. For reals. So the plot feels like a direct fusion of The Last Guess and The Bacon Hair, and not in a subtle, inspired by way. Certain scenes feel almost lifted outright, and while there are a few original ideas sprinkled in, they are buried under a storyline that mirrors both films so closely it struggles to form its own identity. On top of that, the narrative is incredibly confusing because the movie never firmly establishes who the hero and villains actually are. For example, in The Bacon Hair, the Guess are clearly the villains. In The Last Guess, the Bacon Hairs are portrayed as the racist aggressors. But in Guess, the morality flips constantly. Early on, Sam's parents are murdered by James's father, who I'll just call Evil Mr. K. We're shown bacon soldiers killing Guess, and Guess killing bacon soldiers. And then Evil Mr. K creates a bacon bot, which is basically a copy of the curfew bots from the Bacon Hair, to attack the Guess. So naturally you assume the bacon side are evil. Then Guess 2 complicates things even more. We're introduced to the Guess leader.
Did you hack into those damn bots?
Who hacks the Guess bots and reprograms to slaughter civilians, so now the Guess seem like the villain. Until the film reveals that the bacon soldiers were shrunk into losing their memories, and that Evil Mr. K manipulated the events to drive the Guess out of
Bacon/Guess City.
So, the Bacon Hairs are evil again? The constant moral reversals don't feel layered or complex. They feel unplanned. It's not Neurad's storytelling, it's inconsistency. Sam's character is another example of wasted potential. We meet him as a kid who befriends James, then after his parents are killed, we see him again, possibly older. And you think the story is setting up a major arc here. Instead, he's abruptly murdered 3 minutes into the movie. What? There's a vague possibility that a random guest James meet later could be Sam, as well as the guest agent could also be Sam, but the film never confirms it or follow it up. That is just loose writing. James's arc also lacks weight. He teams up with the guest agents to take down his father, but we never see him participate in or even witness his father's crimes. There's no internal conflict, no moral struggle. His turn feels unearned. Even basic continuality flatters there. Are scenes where James seems unaware of the Bacon Army, and others where he acts like he knows everything. The ending of part 1 has James blowing up evil Mr. K's base, followed by the mayor of
Bacon/Gas City
unveiling a guest bot meant to protect the city at night, which feels extremely familiar. Guest 2 escalates the chaos. James is randomly knocked out, waked up in an all-guest prison without explanation on why the Bacon agents just threw him in a guest prison, and it's never brought up again. Then there are abandoned plot devices like the glowing red cubes used to deactivate the bots. They appear once and are never mentioned again. Then we have the friendly Bacon bot from part 1 that just came out of nowhere, who I'll just call Greasy, helps James escape the prison. Greasy was built up just enough for emotional attachment, then killed off for shock value. Evil Mr. K somehow survives the explosion with zero explanation. New or old characters are introduced, but they are built up to be important, only for them to be pushed to the side or just completely forgotten, as well as never used again. By the time the guest leader reveals that Fake K was manipulating everyone, the twist doesn't land because the story hasn't earned it. It just feels like another last minute reversal in the plot full of them. Overall, the movie isn't just confusing, it's structurally weak. It leans heavily on borrowed ideas from The Last Guest and the Bacon hair without refining them, resulting in a story that feels unfocused. There's potential in the concept of conflicting factors, but it needs a clearer world building, stronger character development, and actual narrative consistency. Now then, let's move on to the animation and sound design. The animation itself isn't great. It is clear that this user was using Mixer mode and, yep, you guessed it, Roblox default animations that they have on their website. But there's a twist. Some of the fighting animations you see here are actually stolen from the Bacon hair.
This is quite a shock. On the other hand, it's not surprising in the least.
Yeah, the animations were not just copied, but actually stolen from one of the animators for the Bacon hair. Of course, you might argue, well, this person should have privated their inventory if they didn't want the animations to be used by this dude. Which, true, but it is still scummy that this person thought it was acceptable to just use this guy's animations without permission. And this isn't the only thing Rocky Hardy has stolen, but we'll get to that soon. My honest advice is that this kid just practice their own animation skills, just as looking up some tutorials on YouTube. Also, please use OBS to record your videos, not whatever the hell Fraps is. Because me saying that word out loud sounds like I'm saying something inappropriate that sounds exactly like the word Fraps, but without the R. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about the music and the sound effects that this person used for their film. You see, the music sometimes overlap in certain scenes to the point that it becomes overstimulating for the ears. I don't don't know what happened during Rocky Hardy's editing, but you would think he would notice that there is something wrong with the music, right? Also, some of the songs played doesn't really fit in certain scenes, and neither do some of the sound effects. And speaking of sound effects, there's this one scene in the movie where it is really clear that this kid got his sound effects from one of those pay-to-use sites.
Preview.
My only thought process is, why? Look, I understand that you can't afford sound effects, or your parents don't really want to rip out their credit card to pay for said sound effects, but it's not hard to look on YouTube or the internet for a different sound effect that doesn't have some woman repeating over it. I would have thought that this kid would have heard the previews being repeated over the audio. It's just fun replacement one, but no, this person left it in, and I'm thinking, what the hell? How the heck did you pass preschool? Oh boy. So anyways, let's just move on to the characters. So the characters and their designs, there is nothing much I can say about the designs other than a couple of them are just blatant rip-offs of characters like Mr. K and the curfew bots. Like hell, the gas agents are just straightly ripped from the bacon hair and didn't even have any design change to try and hide the fact that these characters are ripping off existing characters. Now, I want to discuss some of the characters themselves. James is supposed to be the main hero of the story, but I honestly don't like how he is portrayed or even like him personally. He just isn't likable, and it doesn't help that James was just cold and rude towards Lizzie, who's supposed to be his so-called friend. And speaking of Lizzie, Lizzie is pretty much Kenzie 2.0, just as not really having her character fleshed out, and the fact that she's only there when the plot needs her to be there, just as her helping James escape his father's base before it blowed up, which I found odd because how the hell does she know where it is? And also, I don't think James deserved to be rescued considering how he acted towards her. In fact, if I was Lizzie, I would honestly just leave him there to be blown up. Oh, and there was this one scene where her and her group encountered evil Mr. K, and she is just never mentioned again. Like heck, she isn't even seen in the scene where guest leader talks to the captured bacon hairs.
James, do you trust your father? I know you don't, cause he do be looking dumb in that suit.
So I'm just gonna assume that evil Mr. K killed her off screen. We also have Sam, who, just like how Lizzie is Kenzie 2.0, Sam is pretty much Xavier 2.0 in the sense that he dies in the same film he was introduced in, which is a wasted opportunity of making him an important character to the story. And no, I don't think the guest in the bathroom with James
He's just standing there, menacingly!
is Sam. Nor do I think the agent talking to James is Sam either. Another character that I wish had more importance is the grey-skinned guest that James spoke to in the prison. I was hoping that maybe he'll help James escape or something, but that never happened. Instead, Greasy was the one who helped James out, and that grey-skinned guest was most likely sent to be executed, because the way he spoke to James, it sounded like he did more than murder his bullies.
That's tough. Well, hear me out. I was bullied from guests cause I have grey skin colour, and I got incredibly mad, and I killed those bullies.
And we also have the red shirt bacon here, who doesn't really do anything. Why bother introducing him into the story when he doesn't really add anything important other than he knows James's father due to an incident with his mother? Now, I want to talk about the big bad of the movie, guest leader. And yes, I know I left out evil Mr. K, but I have nothing really to say other than he's literally Mr. K, but evil. So, Guest Leader comes off as a comedic villain rather than a serious one, mostly due to his goofy dialogue, and it doesn't really help that his voice, alongside the other characters' voices, is text-to-speech.
You do be looking dumb in that.
Although he does get an upgrade in the cancelled Part 3 movie, where in the teaser, he seems to be more of a threat and a cold-hearted person, to the point that he ordered his agents to not let James sleep and to continue torturing him. And if you're wondering, no, Rocky Hardy did not design Guest Leader. Guest Leader was actually designed by another person who I won't name because I do not want to get into drama, and this person is just a overall moron. So for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna call him Andy, after the Enderman from Warcraft's Monster School. So Andy has a OC, this one here, that was originally going to be the main villain of Part 2, but obviously Rocky didn't ask for permission, and Andy was not happy seeing his OC being used in the film, which again, Rocky never asked if it was okay. So Andy came up with an idea and decided to just design Guest Leader for him. And it also seems that Rocky Hardy was too lazy to replace some of the scenes, which is why you would see this guy just hanging in the background and being out of place. And it's also why you don't really see him with the other agents either. But those are my thoughts on the film. In conclusion, it isn't a great movie, but it's not horrible. It's just good. It's so bad that it's funny kind of good. It's honestly a shame that Rocky Hardy quit making Roblox movies, all because of the whole Moon Animator 2 update situation. But if he were to return, I do think he can make some films, just as long as he be more original and not rip models off from Oblivious HD or Andy. I do hope you guys did enjoy my review. Please don't forget to like, give me your thoughts on this video, subscribe, and even support me on Ko-Fi. Oh, and I also want to mention that I am selling merch on Redbubble, so if you want to snag some cool looking stickers featuring my avatar or a t-shirt featuring some of my art, then be my guest. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye!
%100% pure fish.